welcome to our channel. Today we will tell about Richard Ramirez, American serial killer known as the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez was born on February 29, 1960 in the U.S. state of Texas. He had 4 siblings. As a child, he was subjected to physical abuse by his father. This would cause him to have tantrums in his later life. Being exploited by his parents, he would constantly run away from home and hang out in the cemetery. He was very impressed by the stories told by his cousin about the Vietnam War and his narrations about war crimes, sexual assaults committed during the war. His cousin didn't know that these stories would affect Ramirez in the future. He also gave Ramirez some military training, such as how to use a knife. Ramirez later witnessed how his cousin killed his wife. This incident deeply affected his psychology. In the following years, he started committing crimes. He used drugs, and his interest in Satanism was growing. While working in a hotel, he once entered a customer's room and attempted to sexually assault his wife. He was caught. A criminal case was launched into the incident. However, the victim did not go to the court, and the case was dropped. Ramirez decided to move to another state and start a new life. He moved to California that he would turn into a bloodbath. 2 years after settling in California, he started committing his monstrous crimes. His first victim was a 9-year-old girl in the hotel where he was staying. He tied her dead body to a pipe. The authorities could not guess that this was the first murder of a serial killer. The investigation remained focused on his family and the people around him. The file was closed. In 2009, thanks to a DNA match, this murder case was resolved after 25 years. Ramirez would have certain methods in his next murders. On June 28, 1984, he killed a 79-year-old woman in her home. He had attacked her on her bed. He had entered the house through the window, and his fingerprints were found on the window. On March 17, 1985, he assaulted a 22-year-old Maria in front of her house. She ran to her garage, but Ramirez attacked her with a gun. A bullet did not kill her. She stayed alive, but the other woman inside the house wasn't so lucky. Ramirez walked into the kitchen and killed her. The same evening he attacked a 30-year-old woman in a park and killed her too. Maria, who had earlier survived his attack, helped police to draw Ramirez's sketch. Police did their best to catch him. Ramirez had terrorized California and was named the Night Hunter for his tendency to commit his crimes at night. A number of his confirmed victims is 14, but it is thought to be more. He did not kill all his victims in every house he entered. Sometimes he would only injure them. We will not delve into all murders committed by this murderer. Let's just take a look at the most vicious one. On March 27, Ramirez killed a 64-year-old man in a house he broke into. Then he sexually assaulted his wife and killed her too. He tortured her before taking her life. The only clue the police found was the trace of his sneakers. These shoes were specially made. Police knew that the killer was not stopping. Ramirez entered the house of 83-year-old Mabel and her 81-year-old disabled sister on May 29. He attacked them with a hammer and sexually assaulted them. There he used lipstick to scrawl a pentagram symbol on the wall. This was his first attack in which he revealed satanic nature of his crimes. The sisters recovered after spending 2 days in coma. On August 8, Ramirez broke into the house of 31-year-old Elias Oboeth. Ramirez entered the bedroom at around 02:30 at night, shot the man in the head, and then sexually assaulted his wife. He left her with her hands tied. As media was closely following the case of Ramirez, he had to leave Los Angeles and move to San Francisco, where he continued his crimes. He was drawing pentagram symbols at the crime scenes. As we mentioned earlier, Ramirez was wearing a rare model shoes. It was a distinctive clue at crime scenes. The same shoe print was discovered in San Francisco, and investigators were convinced that the killer was there. During one of press conferences, investigators mentioned this detail about shoe prints, after which Ramirez got rid of his sneakers that were considerable evidence. In yet another attack, he entered the house owned by 30-year-old Bill and his 29-year-old fiancée in through the back door. He woke the couple up at gunpoint. After opening fire at Bill, he attacked Inns. While punching her, Ramirez told the woman that he was the night hunter and told her to worship the devil. He ordered her to tell people that the Night Stalker was there and then left. Bill and Inns both survived the attack. A car used in the attack was later found by the authorities. It was a stolen car. Even though he had cleaned every part of it, his fingerprints were found on the window. Police knew all details about Richard Ramirez's identity. He had no place to hide. We didn't tell you about all his murders, but only the most remarkable ones. Now let's see how this monster was caught by the police. On August 30th, 1985, Ramirez's face was on all newspapers and television channels, but he was not aware of it. He came across his own photos on all newspapers while entering a supermarket. People recognized him and started fleeing. Ramirez started running away in panic. People in the area chased him in an attempt to catch him, and they succeeded. A group of 16 people attacked Ramirez with metal sticks, rods, and baseball bats. Ramirez was beaten by the crowd until the police arrived. He stood trial on July 22, 1988. During his first court appearance, Ramirez posed for the cameras with the pentagram symbol drawn on his palm. There was so much public interest in his case that queues had formed at the entrance. People had to pass through the metal detector in case of a possible assassination. A strange incident took place on 14 August. One of the jurors did not show up in the courtroom. Later that day, it was revealed that she was shot to death in her apartment. The jury members were terrified. They thought that one of Ramirez's fans had committed this murder. They later found out that the juror had been shot by her boyfriend, who later committed a suicide. On September 20, 1989, Ramirez was convicted on all counts of 13 murders. He was also found guilty on 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 counts of burglary. The judge demanded death sentence. After the death penalty, Ramirez told journalists, "See you at Disneyland." There were also people who had sympathy for Ramirez. Some of his fans would send him letters to the prison. A woman named Doreen Leigh wrote him 75 letters. In 1988, they got married in prison. They would break up in the following years. Before her death, Ramirez was engaged to a 23-year-old writer. Years later, in 2006, Ramirez's lawyers objected to the death penalty. Their attempt was unsuccessful as the judges knew that he should be executed. But before his execution, Ramirez died of lymph cancer on June 27, 2013. He was 53 years old when he died and had been waiting for his execution for 23 years.